Hello, everyone. Welcome to the .NET Community Standup. I am David Ortinau. Hey, Bret, welcome to the .NET Community Standup.
Yeah, it's great to be here. It's been a long time. I'm a little nervous, but gonna demo some stuff and hopefully get some good feedback from you all. So I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, we are off to an amazing start, and I have to toot my own horn because if you've ever watched me producing one of the .NET Community Standups, you know that I've never get it right with the intro music video, and then we just pop on and we're all surprised. So I'm patting myself on the back because Maddy's not here to do it. Maddy, however,
Yes.
is on her way. She's probably trying to get a decent Wi-Fi at whatever beach she happens to be at, but she's committed. She said she will be here, so we're looking forward to that.
Yes. She's
In
taking a
the
little break
meantime,
from her Aruba vacation.
yeah, I know, right? Like,
yeah, right.
hard life. Thank you, David Girding, for the nice work. See, somebody likes us. Yes, and like Alan says, you're all just here to troll me. So you can do no wrong, Bret. Really, is what it comes down to. Why don't you give an introduction for everybody who may not know you? Like, how long have you been at Microsoft? What have you been doing here, and what do you work on today?
Sure. Yes. So what is it? I think 8 years I've been at Microsoft. I actually came from Nokia as part of the Nokia acquisition. The rest of my team, it went away, but I really wanted to stick around at Microsoft and work on developer tools, and you're very happy to get the opportunity to do that. So I'm on what I sometimes call a MAUI adjacent team, work on VS tooling. We call it the UI tools team, work on hot reload. So, hot reload support in Visual Studio for Windows, VS Code. It's kind of my main day job responsibilities. But also have been doing some work with a few others on Aspire and also some work on AI integration. So, and there's some overlap between those two things. So, very excited to kind of show that stuff off. I think there's a lot of potential there, and see what y'all think.
Awesome. Yeah, I love knowing that you came from Nokia, and I remember when that acquisition occurred. Those of us, especially in the mobile space, were pretty jazzed about it. I think. I know I was really excited. I loved my Nokia handsets, and was really. I was probably had higher hopes than I should have for what would happen with
Yes.
the Lumias and the Windows phones and things like that.
Right. Well,
Oops,
maybe
not that one.
maybe
This
one day. It keeps being rumors. People always say, "I love my Windows Phone. When am I coming back?" And even Satya.
I know. Well, we also romanticize some of the past. And if you think it's hard today to get smooth animations on Android, those Windows phones didn't exactly go very smoothly. All right, I will firstly, let me find the URL list. So we've got a couple of blogs, we've got some plugins and things like that I thought would be cool to highlight. Here we are in March of 2024. And as a matter of fact, last night I was on the couch, which is my favorite place to do coding. And I was working on an app that I've been working on, which also, Bret, includes some AI. I use a plugin that I'll show here later, and I think it's a plugin that you're probably using too. And my wife's like, "You've been on your computer a lot more lately. What are you building?" And I was like, you know what? I have been on my computer a lot more lately. I am really enjoying using VS Code, Copilot. I don't know how anybody codes without Copilot anymore. Like, and it's not that I couldn't figure it out on my own, right? That's not the point. We're all experts at Googling and Binging and Stack Overflowing and things like that. But why would you want to? Like, it's so dangerously accurate when it predicts the thing I'm trying to do. And it's not that it's going to be perfect. I still need to go tidy some things up. But with those things and building the MAUI app that I've been building, I've just really been having a great time. So I love .NET 8. I love what Maui's grown into, and I'm very excited for the future. Let me share my screen. Share screen, the entire screen, that one. Cool. And let me put it on the stage. Maddy's not here, but Maddy sent me this link and wanted to share it with you all. I also should put onto the screen, this is the URL list for anybody that wants to copy it down. And I did post it into the comments, so you should be able to click it from there. So Luce kind of, I think, collects the things that she does to be successful in VS Code using .NET MAUI. And so I think this is, perhaps some of the common gotchas. Why does it say that Xcode's not there? Actually, I know a couple of reasons why that happens. One is a bug that I found. I didn't fix it myself, but the gracious JD on the team did fix it. And so that bug is gone. And I don't know if Luce goes into this on when, let's see, what does she say? When all else fails, restarting. Yes. So there's a couple of things that I've noticed happens with the .NET MAUI extension in VS Code. And Bret, I don't know if you've seen this, but when I do get a message that says something's not working or I'm not seeing what I expect, first thing I look at is the extensions. Is there an extension update pending? And it wants me to restart. So I'll try that. And then if I find that I don't have an extension update or that didn't fix it, I look at the lower left corner and see if I have an update for VS Code itself. I run on the Insiders version, which is like I guess the nightly releases, the canary builds. And so I get a lot of those. And that often is why my Xcode, something didn't sync up. And then once I do that, everything's fine. But there's another one that I don't know if anybody's ever seen. Do I have code open here before? Let me, oh, I can't show you that. I can just do this. Can I do that? Where did it go? I think I just killed VS Code. Need to make sure whatever I put on the screen is okay. All right, so come here. Drag. Been a while since I've done anything live like this. So what is it? Controller Command Shift P, right? This little command here, reload window, is like a magic fix as well. So it ends up initializing your extensions in the moment without having to restart everything else. So you may find that this beautiful little thing is what you need to do it's kind of like blowing on the cartridge for NES, right? Or smacking the old tube TV upside the cable box. It's like, why? It's messed up. You just whack it. That's what I feel like that command is. It's the whack it upside the head
yeah, good tips. And I wonder if some of this probably is a good potential addition for our doc, especially our VS Code setup doc, which there's a bunch of steps there that you need to get right, and we want to give people some tips if they aren't successful.
See, now we've Luce is already on it. She's going to make sure that she adds these things to the teamwork makes the dream work, Luce. Cool. Let's see, what else do we have here today? Ooh, MAUI icons. So one of the things that I did in my app, and I'll end up sharing it as a sample later and everything, but I wanted to go further in on the native UI with Fluent theming and styling, right? So Fluent 2, and I don't think Fluent 3 is a thing yet, but I think the current stuff is Fluent 2. I went and updated my styles and things like that. Ooh, here's a great thing that Copilot can do. Let's see, Fluent 2 typography. So I was like, okay, I want to adopt the typography here from Fluent, right? And so it's like, well, what does that mean? Well, let's say I'm running on iOS. It's like, okay, here's all the stuff that I need to do. And here are the style names, right? The classes, if you will, that would style my stuff. Well, that's not code, right? I need this in a resource dictionary. So what I did, I just copied it, right? And I went to my Copilot chat and I said, I'm going to paste you some information. I want you to create for me resource dictionary styles that look like this. And I provided an example of a basic one that I would have expected it to do. And it ripped through these things and it generated all the styles for me. I was like, sweet. And in the proper syntax for XAML and for .NET MAUI. So that kind of stuff, man, saves me so much time. It's really, really cool. Going back to this, so this is MAUI icons. So I wanted to be able to use Seg, I don't know, Fluent, the font that is the icons for Fluent. And, you know, of course, I could do what I've done in the past, which is take a font file. You go up to, what is it, Andre's website? Let's see, what is it? Xamarin MAUI icon generate a class thing. Where is that website? Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? No, I gave it too many words and confused it. Anyway, it's a website where you just give it your font and it will rip through the font and create a static C# class for you that enumerates by name, if it can, all the icons that are in that font. Very useful, right? Very, very useful.
Handy. Yeah.
And so then you can use the static C# class in your code and you can reference it that way. So what this does, however, is it's just a NuGet package. So I just include this NuGet package in my project. I do need to use the builder method that says, okay, builder method, go ahead and register me to use the Fluent MAUI icons. And then just about everywhere in the app, I can start doing things like this to reference the icon image source, right? And so works great really everywhere. I'm using it on buttons. I'm using it on toolbars. You can use it in code. There's even some C# markup extensions if that's kind of your thing. And it's, you know, it's just great. You've got access to hundreds and hundreds of icons with the NuGet package. Thank you, John Galloway. Thank you. You're my hero, John. This is the one I was talking about. Yeah, Andre. I knew it was Andre Natescu. Awesome contributor to Xamarin and MAUI for years and years and years. How do I? There we go. All right, cool. You know, halfway through this thing, Maddie's going to pop in and she's going to have her Mai Tai or whatever, and she's going to be sitting on a beach and she's going to be like, "Hey guys, what's up?" All right.
Be surprised. It'll be great. We'll see.
It'll happen. It'll happen. So here's another one. So here's the thing. MAUI supports, of course, Android, iOS, Mac, and Windows, right? And when it comes to, you know, what do we work on? When it comes to prioritizing the backlog of issues to be fixed or work to be done, we have to have some way to weight things and understand the impact of it to customers. And so one of the segue, see, is it Tim? Segue? I don't know. I feel like you need to do like an audio recording of it and then send it to us and we can all just like play back how you say it for everybody. Yeah, so Android and iOS is going to get a much higher priority, at least at this point in time, because that's the biggest impact for customers coming from Xamarin. It's where most of the users of the MAUI product are. What's at the bottom of the list, what gets the least use out in the world right now is Mac. And so I'm building a Mac app and cross-platform, but Mac is the platform I care about. But because it's not really as important to the broader set of MAUI customers, even though I'm the product manager, I can't just go and be like, it would be bad, right? A bad look. You know, Dave's making the team work on stuff for his own stuff and doesn't help any customers. So what's awesome is that we have a great ecosystem of people out there also doing what I'm doing, and they're building packages and sharing their fixes. So what is this? This is a file picker that introduces a fix for Mac Catalyst. And it's based on another project by Luke, which I think is if I go back to the original one.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Maddie. How did you get in? Are you like are you a co-presenter? Like I should have had to have let you in, and I
I
feel
know.
offended that I
Well,
couldn't.
I let myself. I was in the chat and you didn't see my chat, so I was like, I'll just log in and let myself in. Sorry.
Okay, well, that's good. Good
Sorry,
thinking.
I'm just popping in to say hi. I am in an Aruban Airbnb right now, so basically the closest to the Netherlands I could be. Just kidding. They're Dutch.
Closest to the Netherlands.
They're Dutch. They all speak Dutch. My Dutch Duolingo is finally coming in handy. Yes. But yeah, I just wanted to come in and say hi. I'll heckle Dave for a few minutes and then I'll get out of here and let Bret do his Aspire. So sorry to interrupt your flow. But yeah, Dave can't just tell everybody to do whatever he wants. That's my.
I can't.
Yeah. So.
I can't. So what this plugin does, it's a file picker, right? So MAUI has file picker APIs in it, formerly known as Xamarin Essentials. And that works great in the mobile spaces. But of course, back in those days, Mac Catalyst wasn't really a thing. And so there are some things lacking there. Well, I could just wait, but I wanted to be able to go and use something today. And so I need to be able to pick a file so that I can then import that into my application, parse it, and do AI things to it. So this is a great plugin, and I appreciate that both this developer, Luc Vo from Vietnam, and especially this one, Brighter Tools, because this one adds the Mac OS bit that I needed. So awesome plugin if you are finding you're having trouble with file pickers and things like that. The Germans are all laughing at me, apparently. That's okay. That's okay. Troll me, heckle me. It's all good. Which is funny because my last name is Ortinau and my family is from Germany, and I actually studied German. Last night, Maddy, nobody cares. But last night, I had a dream in which I was speaking a combination of German and Korean. It was the weirdest thing. And I was like, very simple sentences. Don't get me wrong. You know, I was not having like full blown conversations. And these are legit. Like, I mean, I woke up and I was like, that was actually accurate. It was the weirdest thing.
That's really funny.
Why. But I was also speaking to my grandfather, who was, he's long departed us. So that was also weird. But anyway, we'll have to talk about that next week, Maddy. We'll have to unpack that.
Yeah, next week when we have a drink for our MVPs. By the way, if Dave didn't mention, 5 to 7 p.m. on Tuesday at the Aloft Bar in Redmond, we're gonna be hanging out. You're gonna get some unfiltered David Maddy's. we can't buy you anything though, so you have to. I think Progress is sponsoring, so thanks to Sam and Sarah and all of them. So there will be some snacks and some drink tickets, but I don't know what the limit will be. So hopefully there's a limit.
There's some good chat comments here. Lively chat today. Okay. I want to get through a few more things, and then we'll turn it over to Bret, and we'll talk about Aspire and .NET MAUI and AI things. So I wanted to point out that we kind of in .NET 9 are taking a new approach to some of how we announce releases. Preview 1 went out 3 weeks ago. Preview 2 is coming out very soon. And so if you're like, where can I kind of keep track of the major announcements in the .NET ecosystem and the product segment ecosystem, this is the place. So discussions, and actually I found this to be really cool. MAUI's repo has, from what I can tell, the most active discussions amongst any of the projects that I looked at in the .NET org. Our community is friendly, as the chat kind of shows here. It's a lot of, we all want to help each other and we all want to learn from each other. So anyway, announcements will be here. So if you're looking for updates, not only about releases, but product, relevant announcements, they will be coming out here. I owe you one for Service Release 3. Which just got pushed to the nightly feed moments ago. Literally moments ago, Shane messaged me and said, hey, Service Release 3 is now on the nightly feed. Go use it, David. So that'll be coming. All right, a few more things. Lots of really great updates in the docs in general. So Dave Britch and others have been contributing. There's actually some great community contributors here as well. I didn't know that we were including that here. That's a really nice addition to the what's new in release notes. And appropriate for this, we are bringing together a lot. Oh, we lost Bret, but we'll keep going. He'll come back. We have included documentation from other teams within Microsoft. Here he comes. There he is. Thanks, Maddy. I guess you have all the power, don't you? So we've got documentation that is new to the MAUI space, but has been on Learn, and it just makes it a whole lot easier for you to find, right? So if you're like, hey, how do I do authentication? How do I use MSAL? Where do I go to do these things? There's actually quite a few MAUI samples from the teams that own those libraries and SDKs and services that our direct product team doesn't work on, and we find out about just in the course of doing things. So often when you're like, who else at Microsoft is doing anything with .NET MAUI? Oftentimes, you're telling us because, hey, it's a big company. So there's that. There's the Azure mobile apps way of doing authentication and offline sync, some Graph SDK stuff, local databases, which I've been doing some local database stuff. Thank you, Mr. Frank Kruger, for your wonderful SQLite library. It's freaking fast and it's easy to use. But there's great tutorials and documentation here for all that sort of thing. So be sure to be checking that out. Another one that it seems like gets overlooked is the enterprise patterns and practices. So if you're like, hey, how do I do UI testing? How do I do unit testing? How do I do testing with .NET MAUI? These new target framework things are freaking me out, and I don't know how to make this stuff work. The enterprise patterns and practices has guidance on all that sort of thing. So Google for .NET MAUI, enterprise patterns, practices, et cetera, et cetera. All right, a few more. So this is another one that I've been using in my app. It's great. The Azure OpenAI client library NuGet package. It is in beta right now. But hey, OpenAI, everything's in beta right now, right? Like it's all just perpetually beta alpha-ish. So the cool thing with this is that I had been noticing a lot of the samples that I was finding out there for .NET MAUI and OpenAI were using, contributors, libraries, and packages, which is totally cool and fine. But I'm like, don't we have something that is from us and is like more official? Turns out you can use this Azure OpenAI client library regardless of whether you're connecting to an Azure AI service or to the OpenAI API directly. And so what's great is you could start on one because perhaps it makes more sense to you, me. And then when you grow up into a real app, you could switch over to the other and decide which works best for you without having to rewrite your app because it's the same NuGet package. So I love that. Always got to give a shout out to Gone Mobile, Jonathan Dick, and Alan Ritchie. I have not listened to any of these. I'm a little scared to. I know both of them, and so I can only imagine what kind of shenanigans are going on. But apparently in this one, Alan tries to sell John on reactive extensions again. So love reactive extensions. If it's your thing, then you're probably being very successful with it and you love it. And those of us who don't use it, keep persuading us. You'll win eventually.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of these sorts of projects pop up recently. Server-driven UI, kind of this concept of I'm going to store either XAML or JSON or some other representation of my UI in the cloud, and then at runtime, I'm going to load it up. We also have seen others do precompiled DLLs and then ship those at runtime to their apps, basically code push in different ways, right? And so if this is your thing and you would find this to be useful so that you could be pushing changes to your app at runtime without having to resubmit them through whatever processes, you could check this out. The obvious caveat being that check the Apple Store policy, check the Google Play policies in terms of how they view this approach to pushing changes to your app. But from a technical standpoint, totally works. You could do it. We've seen a lot of people really enjoy it. Guess what? That's me. Those are the links that we have for today. So with that, let's get rid of my screen.
Yeah.
Bret, are you ready to introduce us to
Yeah.
Aspire?
I think so. Yeah. So,
Quickly, I'm gonna drop off the screen so you don't have to look at my ghoulish face anymore. But I'll hang out in the chat and go get myself a coffee. But yeah, I just wanted to say, oh, I know, heartbroken. Sorry, I know. I need to be in the sun. Okay, I look like I'm dying. But yeah, see some of you next week. And Bret, thank you so much for coming on. So Bret's been working on this experiment. He's going to explain the whole thing. Tim is in the chat, Tim Hewer, or he might have dropped off now, but he was for a little bit before. And Tim has been running Aspire kind of all up from the PM side. So any like broad Aspire questions you have, he's the one to go to. But I just want to preface this with like, this is an experiment. You'll see this is in Bret's GitHub. Obviously, at some point, we would like to put this into Aspire properly, but you can go and try all this out today. Bret is the experimentation king, kind of. So I think he will explain everything really well. But just wanted to preface it, and we're showing it here because I know I've gotten a bajillion questions about it. And the sooner people use this and tell us that this is something that you want, the sooner we can go and fight with Tim and tell Tim to build it for us for reals. So thanks, Tim, in advance. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but thanks for letting me pop in and heckle for a few minutes and have fun. And Bret, if he starts being mean to you, just send me a text and I'll come back and I'll bully him. Okay.
Okay. Duly noted. And can I do that in the future too?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Anytime. No? All right. See you guys soon.
All right. Have a great beach time. And
thanks.
Vacation.
Bye.
And well, I won't see you next week, but some of the folks on this call will. So that'll be a nice opportunity. Sure. So yeah. So and I've got another link to share, which I see I would try to paste in the chat here and see that apparently kind of sharing links is broken. I mean for security reasons, I assume. So, but David, maybe you can add this if I.
Yeah, if you can Teams it to me, I can put it in there.
Yeah, let me. I'll do that here in a sec. So, but let me kind of show you what we got here.
Well, go ahead and reshare your screen.
Yes.
There's so many comments coming in that every time I go to click one to put it on the screen, it's like I end up with the next one. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. So I did this before, and it was there. It is. Okay. I am going to share. I can't share full screen. That's kind of weird, but I did that before. Anyway, sharing the app. So I think this should work okay. Yeah. Actually.
Yeah, we had your screen share before, and then you crashed and left us. Maybe we broke it.
Oh, here it is. Okay. I think
there we go.
There's something screwing in the web UI. I think it may be a bug. Okay. Cool. So yeah, I'm going to show you what we got in the experiment, and talk a little bit more about what Aspire is, why it's, I'm excited about it, why, Microsoft is investing a lot in it, and why I think it's especially kind of exciting and compelling for MAUI devs. And then also, kind of close to the call to action here, which is the kind of the next stage in this experiment is to get feedback from you all, have you all go and follow the steps in the link that will get shared here for my repo, where you can try this yourself. Tell us what doesn't work, what does work, what you like, and so we can get something, more officially supported as quickly as possible. But getting some feedback is kind of the next step in that. So, for what we've done, here I'm going to share a repo link.
Oh, we lost Bret. Oh no, y'all are with me. All right. Somebody had asked earlier on, while we're waiting for Bret to return, if you could ask questions. So I guess this would be a good time for me to answer any questions while we wait for his return. You can't ask questions. Oh, did he? Here he is. Here he is.
Oh, he was.
I know. Anytime you do anything live and you have tabs and a keyboard and a mouse,
It just like died. I mean, maybe I closed the StreamYard tab by mistake, but I don't think so.
yeah.
Okay, so
Mr.
now-
Galloway says he spied you closing the StreamYard tab.
Oh, okay. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Okay. So let me share it again. Okay. So
yes, got you.
yes.
All right,
Okay. Finally. So here's the repo. Here are the steps, which are kind of like you all to try out and go through. Here's the URL, which we'll share in a bit. The technology-wise, there's like 4 NuGets here, and one of them is the project templates. And so let me kind of demo those and show you. So here I installed the project template, including the new one with MAUI plus Aspire, which is here. So, MAUI in the search, all the standard MAUI stuff. Here's the new one that's kind of the Aspire template and the MAUI template kind of munged together with some glue code added in to make it work a little more seamlessly. So let me create that and name. There's a few options in the template. I'm going to include a web app in addition to the MAUI app, just to kind of show you that web functionality as well. The Redis thing that kind of comes in the Aspire template as an option. So yes, here it is. So Aspire, what is it? What does it do? Why is it cool for everyone, but for MAUI devs too? So the way I think about it, there's kind of 3 big buzzwords that sort of explain the value app behind Aspire: configuration, observability, and integration. So kind of show you what that means here in the code. So configuration is configuring all the, well, let me back up a little bit. So we kind of have this vision of having, driving more and more cloud native development. And I like to call this experience with MAUI cloud native client apps. So you've got your client app, a MAUI or whatever runs on the client. You got some cloud pieces. We want to make them all work together as easily and as seamlessly as possible. And that gets a little bit to the kind of the integration play for Aspire. But one of the challenges when you do that is around configuration. So you have some settings that you want to, where you want to tell the components, hey, here are all the other components, here are the endpoints. And that information needs to get passed along so everyone knows how to talk to everyone else. So let me kind of show you specifically what that means for us.
And Bret, when you can, if you can bump up the fonts a bit.
Yeah, okay. So for the Aspire, there's a few projects. Kind of the main one from the Aspire perspective is this app host project, which it knows about all the pieces, all the components in your app, and what kind of depends on what other components. So here, and in fact, I'm going to start the app host project. I'm going to show you that. So this is Not good, because I know this worked before. I'm going to switch to another project which didn't have these issues. Okay.
So trying to restore and not getting your dependencies.
Yeah, I did a trial run here a little bit ago.
We didn't make the appropriate sacrifices to the demo overlords.
Apparently not. Okay, there it is. All dependencies restored. The app host project is actually running now. And when you launch it, it launches the Aspire dashboard, which is here. So these are all the components. Like in the demo app, there's the MAUI client. I'll talk more about that in a sec. There's an API service, which is kind of a simple the simple APIs via REST service that's included in the default Aspire template and also included in ours. Minimal APIs, that's the term I was looking for. And here's the website that's included. So here are the pieces that you configure them. You know, one of the Aspire tenets is do this, don't do this in like YAML. You know, you could tell it was built by somebody who maybe doesn't have much of a YAML love, but do it in code because there's a lot of power that comes in code. So this program file in app host is where you configure your components. Here, the web front end depends. This is the API service. Here, the web front end depends on the API service. And this is the MAUI integration and some of the MAUI glue we had to add, where the MAUI app also references the API service. So when you start them, Aspire will start up everything, with the exception of the MAUI client. I'll talk about that in a second, and tell everything how to connect to everything else. So I'll show you how the web experience works first. So here's the web app that it launches. Here's the weather piece, and when I refresh, it calls the weather REST service, gets the weather and updates it. And that is all kind of wired together through these endpoints, which for the web front end is here. And the way Aspire normally works is sets in environment variables when launching the different pieces to pass along this configuration information. So that's kind of the config piece. Here it tells it how to point to the REST service. Here it tells us how to point to the Open Telemetry service, which powers the dashboard. So wiring all that stuff up is what Aspire does. But let me kind of show you how it works with MAUI today and some of the stuff we had to do to make it all work. So this passing environment variables at launch time, it works for like Windows desktop apps, but it doesn't really work today for like launching an Android app because we just don't have everything wired up, and I'm not sure if we want to wire up everything to kind of pass environment variables around at launch time. So here is the kind of the MAUI experience. So for mobile clients, at least with the experiment, and and maybe for a production version too, because it works, it's probably good enough. We generate this this settings file that has all of the settings that normally get passed along at runtime. So now I am going to switch the startup project to the MAUI app, hit F10 to run it for Windows, and it will. When I launched the Aspire app, it kind of generated that file with the latest settings. And this was due to a last minute change where I broke something, but I can fix that. Okay, all right. So launch the MAUI app, and it'll come up here second. Okay, so now it has all these settings, and if I hit load weather, it connects to the REST service, which for production environments would be in the cloud, but here for a development environment, it's running on my desktop, and it is I'm going to show you. It's this API service. So minimal APIs make it pretty minimal, only 39 lines of code, including blank lines, to have this REST powered service that returns the weather. All right, so here it's calling the REST APIs, and let me show you. And this is where it gets even cooler. So that's kind of the configuration piece. But one thing that I was really good at is observability. So there's, I want to say, kind of 3 pillars of observability: logs, metrics, and traces, distributed tracing. So, and it's all wired up to the Aspire dashboard. So if I go here, let me scroll down. So I'm loading the weather in my MAUI app. You can see that it calls the REST service. Those calls are there in the trace in the dashboard. You can kind of see it happening. And what it really should do is also include trace for the MAUI side of things. There's something broken with that right now, but it should work the same way as it does for the web UI, where this is one of the real cool things about this distributed tracing. So you can kind of trace an operation end to end and see, both how much time it takes, but all kind of the stops along the way, where your client calls it, does something on the client, recalls some service, which calls some other service, which calls some other service, and be able to see all kind of the pieces of that operation and sort of wired up together for this one logical thing. So that's distributed tracing. Here it is. But here is logging. So these are log messages with the kind of the standard Microsoft logging extensions. So an iLogger in the MAUI client, and because it's kind of wired up in the default Aspire friendly way, the way that it's done for websites, which we now kind of do on the client side, the log messages for HTTP client kind of go here to the dashboard, and you can see, and kind of another scenario is for errors. So I want to simulate an error, hit load, then go back here. So this is an error on the client side, but gets sent back to the dashboard, shown in the logs, and also kind of shows up. Show it there. All right, so why isn't this was working earlier for me? But anyway, it should show a little error icon in the state 2, which was worked this morning, so I'm not sure why it's not working now. But it's kind of another kind of nice to have for the integrated logging experience. And then metrics, the other pillar of observability, being able to see just a bunch of numbers that have kind of performance characteristics for for like HTTP requests and charts that go along with them. It should work on the client too once that's wired up. One other loose end there, and this is kind of the REST service. And yeah, that's most of the functionality. Let me kind of show the MAUI app itself, how this is hooked together. So, and And again, if you follow the instructions on the README, add the NuGet packages. This is kind of the stuff you could add to your MAUI app so that it does this. Gets the settings. Calls this. These are some Aspire conventions here. It has this thing called service defaults, but this is sort of the app version to app defaults to configure everything around, to be able to customize how the HTTP client handling works, whether resiliency is on or not by default. The open telemetry connectivity and some of the details about how you want that to configure that for the logging is all configured here. These are defaults, and it's like in the template by default, but you can make some customizations to this code if you want to. And then I'm just going to show so like here, the logger, sort of dependency injection to let's see, here is where that error is generated. Here it's the logging, which, because it's all hooked up together, is sent via open telemetry to the Aspire dashboard in developer scenarios. So yeah, that's. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I think
you're getting a lot of mind blown and comments like superb, and yeah, Matthew's mind is blown more than once. If you're blowing Matthew's mind, you're doing something pretty awesome. So, so if people want to start playing around with this and using this, I think there's a couple of questions around. Obviously, if you send me the link, I can post it somewhere. You said there's templates, so people would be able to start a new app with a template, or what's the way for people to get going with this?
Right. So all the instructions should be in the repo link, but the first step is to install the templates from NuGet, and then you can create a new app with the template or update an existing app.
There you go. John's got the link right there. Aspire Mobile.
Okay, great.
So there was a lot of code in that MAUI app. Of course, you had the weather client and things like that. And then you had the different MAUI builder extensions. And I think you were saying the MAUI builder extensions that you were showing with the defaults, those are all part of the template. I as a developer consuming this, I don't need to write those, right?
Right. So let me present again, and now I have to do the dance to get the share button to show up in StreamYard.
You have a question here from Andrew. Andrew's asking for Android and iOS if you're using dev tunnels locally to reach back to the local backend for dev. Oh, there's your dog. Dog.
Yeah.
Hi, puppy.
Yes. That's Bailey. He likes to join sometimes these conference calls. Yes, and George asked about this as well. So that is one of the challenges with mobile is the tunneling, the connectivity. It depends on the scenario. There's no tunneling support built in yet. If you set up dev tunnels manually, you can do that when you need that kind of tunneling. We also have some ideas we're kicking around tunneling traffic the same way it works for the debugger and hot reload without dev tunnels kind of requires going to the internet. So hopefully there'll be some functionality around that eventually. But also for emulator scenarios, you can often connect directly without needing to set up any kind of tunnel. For the Android emulator in particular, there is an IP address where localhost doesn't work, But if you use their, I don't remember what it is, their kind of hard-coded IP for the thing that they map to the host local host, it should work without any tunneling. So I'm going to add a little code so that localhost maps to that, and no tunnels should be necessary in the Android emulator case. iOS simulator should work directly. For physical devices, yeah, we need some kind of tunneling. So yes, I'll tell Maddy hi with George. And having a good experience around that is something. It's not an absolute must-have, but yeah, it's a pretty strong, nice to have. Yeah. What other questions do we have?
So
how do they surface?
Here's another one. Whoop. How do the services communicate with each other? gRPC, Signal.
Yeah. How? So I think all those mechanisms are supported. It's kind of whatever sort of built into today. So the thing that Aspire does is communicate the endpoints to all the services so they know about them. And then it also has some more support for service discovery. So you can kind of ask for a particular service point with a abstract name. But then after that, it's just kind of a URL with a port, and you can speak whatever to call over that connection that you would otherwise speak kind of traditionally. So one other kind of piece of the Aspire value prop that I kind of want to highlight. So there's the configuration, there's the observability, and all kind of the cool stuff, both for the dashboard, but also just doing things in these standard ways for open telemetry so that you can also export to other sources for open telemetry like App Insights. But the third thing is the integration piece, which is just, you can kind of tell as the vision comes together more and more for Aspire. So there's these Aspire components that make it easy to connect to a particular service. So like there's some for AI, there's the OpenAI one that just got released like 3 weeks ago at preview. David Fowler tweeted a list yesterday of like 20 different community authored components that are coming. So kind of the model is you start with this Aspire core, you add in these components that makes it easy to wire the stuff together. It kind of works by default. The AI component is one of those, and all the pieces hopefully are a little bit easier to, hopefully a lot easier to configure than they are today to make cloud native apps, client
Cool.
and otherwise. Yeah.
So Matthew wants it to be this easy.
Yes.
Can you do that?
Yes. So you use Aspire defaults. Maybe that should begin the NuGet by default. The Aspire doesn't currently do that for their kind of service defaults to make them more obvious in order to customize, but yeah, maybe. Well, we'll discuss that with it. So yeah, call to action, try it out. There's instructions there on how to share feedback with us, like in the repo or in the discussion issue in the MAUI repo. Really want to hear, the people's experiences with this in order to take the next steps in order to more formally kind of productize.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think, if you're having issues with it for sure. And then also like Matthew, he's like, I wish I could just do this, right? Like the value prop is definitely there. So very cool. Well, thank you, Bret, for sharing and looking forward to seeing what people will do with it. And then maybe when we come back next month, we can, Johnny's already on it.
Yeah. I think, it might be a good opportunity to give an update and from on where we're at that, because I hopefully will be, further along in terms of, making the stuff real and having a bunch more users. And
yeah, we'll definitely promote this, make sure people know how to use it. I myself will clone it and give it a shot because I have not done so yet. I have thus far been too busy to do anything with Aspire, But I guess it's about time for me to do that. PRs are accepted. We are open source. Yes, Matthew. He's signing himself up for PR review duty. Right there is what that's at.
Yeah. I'll mention one other area where we particularly like to get some feedback is the launch experience. I mean, Aspire has the model where if you launch app host, it launches everything, and you can, if you debug it, you debug everything at the same time. So that's kind of cool, and it works well. It doesn't. There's some technical issues there. Also, making that launch the MAUI app, like how do you pick which, it's Android or iOS, and what device you want to deploy to. So, but there's also some usability issues where maybe you don't want to launch everything at the same time. I don't really know. So the experience in the experiment is you launch them separately. That works. It's functional. It's a couple extra mouse clicks maybe. However, what is experience that folks would like to have there? Do you want to launch them all together? Do you want to launch them for, some for debug, some for non-debug? Do you want to use the Aspire dashboard to control what you do? Do you want the MAUI app to launch the Aspire versus the Aspire to launch the MAUI app? These are all variations that we've talked about. For none of them are sort of obviously the best choice. Really want feedback on what is best for your workflow in practice, so we can kind of make the right UI tooling decisions around launch, especially. So
cool. Yeah, makes sense. Once people start digging into it, I'm sure that these things will become clear, and we can put something out there that everybody can be successful with. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Bret. We filled the whole hour, even without Maddy. So Maddy will be back next month, I believe, and we'll have a wonderful April with lots of more updates for you. So look forward to seeing everybody then. Thank you very much, and we will see you later.
Y'all. Show your people.